things are going to start heating up now because we're starting to talk about the hot tags of the week. And what went on this week? Not too much. So instead, we're going to just do the ones that we had done last week that Skype decided to kind of screw us over for. And I don't think we're going to be anywhere near as passionate as we were last week because now time's passed and whatever, but maybe something's changed in the process. So let's knock them all out. First thing that we had talked about before was Xavier Woods making his debut with R-Truth, and the whole idea that Truth and Consequences, their old tag team that they had in TNA, kind of has been reborn, but of course they're not referring to him as Consequences Creed, so if anything, Truth and Woods doesn't make a whole lot of sense, so we're probably not going to get that tag team name. In general, that we tied that into two other ones, so I might as well just kind of mention them now, and we can kind of tackle the whole topic in one big group. And that was more tag teams in general are going to be coming in 2014 per Triple H's orders. And one of the new tag teams that we have are Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards from ROH, who are now the American Pitbulls in NXT. So, we talked about a lot of this kind of stuff, and we basically boiled it down to our ideas of what Xavier Woods is going to be doing in WWE and how these whole new tag teams are going to work out. And Burhan, since you weren't here last week, I'm going to start with you, and we're going to kind of touch upon anything that you don't mention yourself. But in the whole idea of Xavier Woods, his debut, his tag team with R-Truth, the tag teams going to be revamped in the future, what do you think is going on with this? Anything you're excited about? Anything you're not excited about?
I think they should just team with James Woods and call them the Woods.
The Woodses?
The Woodses. As far as tag teams goes, the tag team scenes never looked better. One of the problems I don't have with the WWE is that their tag team division is getting extremely hot. They're doing an amazing job with it, even though that the Shield doesn't have the tag team championships at this point in time. They're showing a lot of it on SmackDown, being that's the sort of place where they're elevating that title and using it as the focal point. So, good job WWE.
What about the Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards thing?
I heard that they're basically, after their match on NXT, it was kind of a tryout match. Triple H is kind of being pushed to sign these two guys. I do hope that they do get signed for 2014 and they return and get moved up to the main roster. But there's no confirmation to it as of yet. If they do, it's great. I love the American Wolves. They're one of my favorite tag teams in ROH. And I hope that they do actually get elevated, because these are two guys that have worked really hard in the business for quite a long time. But the people that don't know, Davey Richards was going to actually retire from professional wrestling. I think it was right about a year ago, to pursue a different career because he wasn't really getting anywhere. And now to see something like this happen and to see him get the appreciation that he deserves, I'm all for it.
Now, Peyton, what were your thoughts that tied all this together? What do you think about Xavier Woods? Has he got a bright future, or is he just kind of one of those mid-card for life type of guys who isn't going to really go that far? And
well, now
this
hold
kind
on
of the highlight.
What's to say you can't have a bright future in the mid-card?
Not necessarily.
I know this is something we actually got into the last time we did this too. There's been this huge stigmata lately that people are like, oh, he's never going to be a main eventer.
Stigmata?
What the hell is that? Why are people so down on people he'll never be a main eventer? What's wrong with not being a main eventer? What's wrong with being a mid-card guy that's just getting a huge popular endorsement from the crowd and getting a mid-card title once in a while, or just being on TV every week?
Well, you got to assume that
that's
most
how
of these
Cookie
people
Ware got in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I can't use him as a comparison. But you got to assume that, almost everybody, when they come into WWE, they have to be going in there as people who want to be the World Heavyweight Champion or the WWE Champion.
I disagree. That's their lazy way of trying to make the title seem important.
I
think the whole reason people should be going out there is to compete and to be the best. Being the best doesn't mean be the champion. Being the best means going out there and making the best impression.
I think in terms of the way that the industry works, there is a huge emphasis on who should be world champion, who shouldn't be. In terms of talents, even if he does have a mid-card career, you've got guys like Kofi Kingston, for example, who have managed to be the staple of the mid-card and have been quite good at it. So, good.
Kofi's made a lot of money for himself. He's got tons of fans. He's making plenty of money off of merchandise. He's going to retire to a very nice home when it's his time. People hate on Kofi. Kofi's had a very good career for himself. Then you look at people like Kurt Hennig. He was never in the main event, really. He tickled in there once in a while, but he was not a main event player, at least not in WWE. In NWA, he was.
Well, see, I think now that we might get this whole unification, which we didn't have on the line when we were talking about this the last time, that kind of changes things.
Because that's going to make the main event scene tighter. Now even less guys are going to be in the main event, and I say good.
Well, I think that's going to make it so there isn't as much of a stigma. Because if you're not a world heavyweight champion, well, you don't have twice as much of an opportunity anymore. Because it seemed a little bit weird when somebody like Wade Barrett wasn't the champion, but we had Del Rio as the champion. And now that we're only going to have, if it goes through the way that it seems like it's going to go through, we're only going to have one WWE champion. Somebody like Xavier Woods never reaching that level, it's not going to seem as weird.
Well, now going back to Woods for a second, this guy I think is a really cool young guy. I think he's going to pick up a lot more as his career goes on. I think he's got a little bit of adjusting he needs to do to the WWE television. I mean, he was in TNA and he's been working down in the NXT program, but it's still not the same. It's still the same when you're out there on the road in front of those cameras being watched by millions and millions of people. I think he needs to get a little more comfortable, and I think he needs to work on his repertoire a tiny bit. Right now, it seems like he just gets beat up and then pops those two moves at the end, and that's it. But they're cool moves, and he bumps around pretty well. I like how they pretty much just completely gave him Brodus Clay's gimmick. It's like, well, it's not working for Brodus, so here you go, bro.
I'm not a big fan of that.
Actually, they didn't give him the gimmick. They did a segment on SmackDown where Brodus got in his face.
Really?
Yeah.
Were they going to do a feud between the two now?
Yeah, no, they actually had a match. It was kind of a throwaway match between the Pillow Fluffers versus Woody Woodpeckers, and they had their match. They won, but the whole segment before that was Brodus getting into his face, telling him like you can't go around stealing people's gimmicks and their entrance music.
So he's probably still going to do it. Just Brodus Clay got upset about it, as he should be, but just no way to rat Brodus Clay out of it.
Wasn't the whole thing on Raw that R-Truth said that he asked Brodus Clay and he gave it to him?
That was wrong,
then
though.
on SmackDown they decided to throw all that away and Brodus just got in Xavier Woods' face.
Huh.
So I hope Brodus Clay's turning heel?
I hope that they don't do that, because I think that it's actually working out with the whole Tons of Funk thing.
You mean
I think Woods can get his own theme music,
I think it's a fine theme for him. I mean, he does that whole dancing thing. It would have to be something similar. Give him Los Matadores theme music.
Yeah, that would work.
Not using it anymore either.
I think that's what they're going to end up doing, just having him going out there parrying certain superstars.
It's all going to become Inception mode, where he comes out as Charlie Haas, as the people that he used to come out as.
Or he'll call himself Woods Dust.
He'll be the fake Undertaker too.
He's going to come out with Ricardo Rodriguez as his best friend.
It might happen. You never know. They were waiting for him to have somebody else to go with. Maybe it's going to be Xavier Woods. I don't know. Hopefully not.
Anyway,
but.
And just to mention one more thing, I don't think we're going to see a huge run of a tag team with him and R-Truth. I think this is just a little bit to get him a rub and a start. I don't see this being a major developing tag team in the division that we have right now, which is very great. I fully back up Aaron right now that it's probably one of the strongest things in the company right now. As far as these indie guys they brought on, they got a following. Good for them. They got a lot to prove, though. I don't want them to be like a lot of the other guys who have come over and had these big heads because they impressed a few people in a high school gym. You got a lot of ways to go, guys. So we'll see what happens with them.
I actually would be really fine with Woods and Truth having a solid tag team, because I don't think that R-Truth has much to offer for like a singles competitor. So why not? I mean, Woods has the time where he can be in a tag team for, a year, maybe two, and then he can move on from that. And R-Truth, he's not going to be that main event guy anymore, so why not pair him with somebody like that? If not, pair him with somebody else. But I'd be fine with
Yeah,
it.
they've kept Storm of Truth as much in terms of like his mid card main event push. So
I
it's just better that he remains in a team with someone.
I kind of view Truth the same as I view Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel and Evan Bourne. Like, none of these guys are ever going to really amount to anything that important, other than maybe that filler mid carder kind of person. So tag teams, best way to go for them. Uh, the ROH guys, the American Pitbulls, I don't really know much about them, but I've heard good things, so maybe that'll work out. A couple other hot tags we had. One of them was Daniel Bryan's thinking about trying to get people to name his finisher, and the 5 suggestions that were thrown out, which there haven't been any more development since last week. So I don't know if this was just something that they tossed away and it's not going to end up coming through. But the 5 suggestions were pretty awful. There was the Yes Strike, the Bearded Wizard, which was Peyton's favorite, the Little Big Man Knee, which we all thought was really just beyond the worst, the Washington Wizard, and the Aberdeen Facebuster. So if you had a choice between any of them, what would you pick, Bearhan?
The Aberdeen Facebuster.
Any reason?
I think it sounds cool.
Legitimately, or being sarcastic?
I'm being sarcastic.
I'm not a big fan of any of these. Has your mind changed about it, or are you still pro Bearded Wizard, Peyton?
Beard Wizard's awesome. At least it's not our boom.
True. There's been worse things out there, but I don't know. I don't like any of them. I'm not a big fan of the finisher, period, but I think he needs something better.
Well, his main finisher is the S lock. This is his secondary finisher if he needs to pin somebody.
This is his I can't do that to somebody like Mark Henry move.
Exactly.
Any other suggestions that you guys had miraculously thought of that you think would be better than those, or are we kind of leaving that up us to like please somebody else think of this?
I'm with Miguel. The move that beat John Cena is a pretty good name.
I think it should just remain nameless. Yeah, why does it need a name?
Well, I think that we all were in agreement that they can't possibly call it the Little Big Man knee because of the fact that Michael Cole saying that he hit him with the Little Big Man knee. Like, that just sounds really awful. I don't think they could pull that off, but then again, maybe they just won't have him win any matches anytime soon because it looks like they're giving up on him a little bit. So,
can you imagine like JR in the height of his day exclaiming Daniel Bryan, "Little Big Man knee, Little Big Man knee, my God!"
Hellfire and Brimstone.
He just took his head off with the Little Big Man knee.
What if he was a heel and he hit him with the Little Big Man knee, where JR used to be like, "Oh, come on, oh, Little Big Man knee." Like, you don't have to hit him with the Little Big Man knee.
For God's sake, the man has a family.
He already took 3 Little Big Man knees. Oh, God. 2 other hot tags that we had talked about, and there's no more news on the front on either of these as well, are pay-per-view based. TNA has decided to drop the Genesis 2014 pay-per-view from the lineup. It's not a pay-per-view anymore. It's actually just going to be one of those special TV episodes. And WrestleMania 30 might be given away for free if you sign up for the WWE Network. And their philosophy behind it is if they get people to sign up for the WWE Network because of WrestleMania, which most people, if they're going to order any kind of pay-per-view, they're going to order WrestleMania. If they can sign up for it during that and get a good deal, the month afterward, they'll probably just keep the WWE Network. And they'll kind of keep their subscriptions going and make up their money based off of that. And I think that both of these are kind of a good idea. Genesis, I'm a little bit less supportive of them dropping, but my philosophy behind that was if they're going to drop it to where they only have 3 pay-per-views a year, TNA might as well just drop them all or only have Bound for Glory as a pay-per-view. The WrestleMania 30 thing, I think that's fantastic. I can't see any kind of flaw with it. Burham, what do you think about those 2 things?
I don't see an issue with it. I think that it's a smart move. It's a great way to lead people in to the WWE's new network. And
that was Dixie Carter crying about them. He's just saying they should drop it.
And as far as Genesis goes, I don't give a shit about TNA.
Peyton, your thoughts?
The whole WrestleMania thing is a good business strategy. The whole Genesis thing, who the fuck cares about TNA? If they want to keep Bound for Glory up, that's fine. That's their biggest house show of the year.
All right, guys, that does us in for the hot tags. We're going to take a little break here with the rest told, and we're going to come back with Survivor Series pay-per-view review in part 4.